We're listening to Just Saying It on the SportsMap Radio Network. Here's Cole Thompson.
You can watch all 3 hours live if you really feel like it on YouTube just by subscribing to the channel at Mr. Cole Thompson. You can also go ahead and download all 3 hours to catch up on the highlights, the best clips, everything that you might have missed. If you don't want to watch it, you can always listen live on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Audio Boom. And of course, you can download the SportsMap Radio app, carry us in your pocket throughout your day. That way you don't miss a second of all of our great local programming. We saw a win last night by the Detroit Lions. Big win, 34-20. You absolutely love to watch the way that this team plays football. And I'm telling you, they're going to embody their head coach in Dan Campbell. And that's going to be something that you hold your hat on for the remainder of the season. There is a lot to like about this team. They're well-built. They're well-constructed. They're physical. They're tough. They're hard-nosed. They are going to beat you at your own game. And they're literally going to take a bite of your kneecap coming on the way up. Dan Campbell is the perfect coach for this team. Absolutely. There's nothing to hate about him. There was a lot to hate about the Green Bay Packers, so we got to talk about it. 800-224-2004. It wasn't Jordan Love. And we'll get to Jordan Love in a moment. I promise you we will. But this team, there's something missing this year. And the offensive line is part of the problem. And the run game last night was completely obsolete, even though you had Aaron Jones. And it felt like throughout the night, Matt LaFleur just kind of kept going away from him. But the defense, special teams, those are areas that for years have hindered and plagued Green Bay from being a legitimate contender. And they're still a problem. They're still a problem. The run defense alone is filled with first-round talent. Former day one selections that are supposed to be difference makers from the jump. And they're just not doing it, man. It's mind-boggling how you look at what this roster has with guys like Devonta Wyatt and Kenny Clark and Quay Walker, and you can now throw in Lucas Van Ness to the conversation and Rashawn Gary. And it just feels like there's that missing element to where every single week, it doesn't matter if a team gets 5 yards per play, 8 yards per play, 3 yards per play, they just struggle stopping the run. And when they struggle with that, teams are going to be able to run the clock down. And then you're going to put more pressure on your offense to have to play a little bit more uptick. And it's a little infuriating. And that's a major concern. And that's something that I think that Joe Barry is going to lose his job over. And last night was a very clear explanation that he's not the right guy to lead this defense at all. And I'm not saying that the secondary didn't have its flaws. They did. They absolutely did. But it starts in the trenches. That's how you win football games. And last night, primarily in the red zone, David Montgomery just continuously was able to push his way forward, get those hard yards, and eventually find his way for 6 points. That was a major concern. Another major concern was the special teams. Absolutely. I mean, Quay Walker is a very good linebacker, and I thought that this past year he's really stepped up. He's actually had a very good game last night. But whether or not you think it's a penalty, like that's something that in the NFL, it's common sense. Just don't go for the ball. And so you turned what was supposed to be a chip shot field goal into a fresh set of downs. And David Montgomery, which, I mean, for me, it was actually really positive because I had him playing fantasy last night. But he's able to go ahead and extend that lead even further to now 34 points when it should be 30 points. And the game was over at that point. I mean, Jordan Love would have to have the most epic comeback of epic comebacks. And unfortunately, that was never going to happen. So the game was done. And instead, you're just adding more salt into the wound. That's a concern. They also had that one play where it was the fumble on the punt return and they got the ball back, which is really good. But oh my God, how at that point are you not sitting there and going, why is this still happening? It's the same crap every single year that has completely demolished us and make us feel inferior despite having a very good roster. Why is this continuously happening to us? And it's coaching. And this is an area where I think Matt LaFleur is going to have a very serious conversation going into next week. And I'm not saying that he's going to fire the coaching staff. I'm not saying that he's going to make changes. But they got to fix up something because the defensive line is too riddled with star talent that shouldn't be allowing this many yards after contact and allowing teams to continue to move the sticks. That's a major concern. And special teams has got to be better. Now let's talk about Jordan Love. This is actually, I think, a very good game if you are a Jordan Love doubter or if you're a Jordan Love pessimist to hold on to. But this also is a very good game if you are still trying to find out your verdict on Jordan Love. I am a pro Jordan Love guy. I think that he's actually going to be a sufficeable quarterback in the NFL. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to be elite by any standard. I'm not sure if he's ever going to get to top 10 status. And I'm not sure if he's even going to be a starter 5 years from now. But I am a believer that Jordan Love can work in today's league. And I think that you saw that in the game against Chicago. I think without question, you saw that in the first half against Atlanta. You saw that kind of, let me show you what I'm made of mentality, that alpha dog, a little bit of like wow factor with the win last week over New Orleans. Like, you've seen it. He's definitely not one of those like flash the pan type of quarterbacks like a Zach Wilson or a Josh Rosen where, oh, they have one really great throw and then they kind of go back to reality of being a dumpster fire and absolutely way in over their head. Like, that's not Jordan Love at all. But you have to walk away with last night's game being very underwhelmed because the first half, it was terrible game planning. It was horrendous execution. And they also just didn't trust the run game whatsoever. And I get it. Aaron Jones coming off of injury. The last thing you want to do is lose him for like 5 or 6 more games. And then you lose David Bakhtiari and you just get back Christian Watson and they're going to be on a snap count. I understand that. But the play calling was horrendous. And out of the execution by Jordan Love was really bad. But then you watch him come out in the second half and he starts balling out and he actually really looks competent. And this is where the whole like, okay, we now know that this kid's got something. I don't know what it is. Moxie might be the right word. He can actually play football in today's league, and you hold on to that. And then he finds the end zone of Christian Watson, and it looks like at this point, okay, here we go again. Last week was not a fluke. The comeback is in the works. It's really promising. And then he has a turnover, and then he has the interception, and then right back to reality. Okay, well, now we're 1-2. Now we're 2-2. This is where we are. I won't fault Jordan Love for everything. I don't think you can fault Jordan Love for everything. He was completely under duress by the offensive line. He got sacked 5 times. There were a couple of miscommunications between him and the route runners. The second interception's all on him. Like the one to Romeo Doubs, he's trying to force that football in, and he's not in the same rhythm. Because as you watch Doubs kind of goes ahead and he does the curl route back, and Jordan Love sees that, okay, I got an open window. But then Doubs turns upfield, and without even second guessing, Love just fires it in there, and it's a second pick for Jerry Jacobs. If he waits a second longer, that's a touchdown in the back of the end zone. And now we have ourselves a very good close game that could really come down to the wire and swing momentum back in Green Bay's way. And if they somehow get the onside kick, well, look at that. Now we're walking away feeling a lot better about ourselves. And now maybe, even if we don't win this game, there's fewer questions with Jordan Love. There still are a lot of questions. And I think the biggest one right now is where do we go from here? And that's a good learning lesson for Love because in the first 3 games, he won the game against Chicago. Plain and simple. He was absolutely phenomenal. In the game against Atlanta, he played well. It wasn't elite by any standards, but it was very good. And he wasn't the reason this team lost. The run defense was terrible. Like Bijan Robinson averaged like 8.5 yards per play. So you can't blame the loss on a quarterback in this game. And then, of course, he has a very sluggish first half against New Orleans and comes back out and lays ham and goes Super Saiyan mode, and he wins. So this is a game where now 2 interceptions, lackluster production, a passer rating of under 85. I think he had a passer rating of like 69, if I'm not mistaken. A completion percentage of like 58. This is a game where you go, okay, how do you respond? How do you go ahead and prove that it was a fluke? This is just a one-hit wonder game. Like, we actually are going to see more quality, consistent production from Jordan Love. And if he does that, well, then this game is just a blip in the radar. That's all this is. It's just like kind of a, okay, bad day, no problem. Like Josh Allen has a bad game once every single 5 days. Like every 5 games, Josh Allen has a blundering mistake. And we don't give him credit and we don't go ahead and flag him. Like, that's where we are with Jordan Love. If it's like that, cool. Move on. So be it. Get over it. But you got to play better in the first half. Because against mid-level teams, you're going to be able to pull off that upset. Like Atlanta, you could have pulled off the comeback victory. New Orleans, you pulled off the comeback victory. Detroit, you're not doing that. They're too good defensively. They have an offense that can beat you in so many different ways. You're not going to be able to get that comeback. The Raiders, you can win that game. The Broncos, you can win that game. The Rams, you can win that game. So I still am very optimistic that last night's performance is kind of what I already know about Jordan Love. He's not going to win you the big games by himself, but you can't discredit him for what he's able to do in the second half and how he plays with this kind of alpha mentality of, okay, I got my feet underneath me. Let me show you what I'm all about. He's got something there. And that's why I can't give up on him and I can't say, oh, he's a bust. But if you struggle in the first half of games continuously moving forward, it is going to lead to a souring opinion of you, and it might be the end of your career.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.